You are listening to the Fight Report with Hanson Crafton, his preview of UFC 322, news and notes, and looking ahead into the future of great bouts, only on the Central Indiana Sports Report.
Welcome, fight fans, to the Central Indiana Sports Report for the Fight Report with Hanson Crafton. This week, previewing UFC 322 at Madison Square Garden. On Saturday, welcome back, Hanson, and you and I every week are going to talk about what's coming up. Every week on the Fight Report, we're going to talk about what's coming up this weekend, what's coming up in the future, and what has happened recently. And Hanson, we're going to start with UFC 322. It's a good one. What are you looking forward to most in this one?
So it's a really good card. The whole main card is loaded. You got a couple good prelims in there as well. But I'm really looking forward to the two title fights. It's one of those times where you have both title fights are a champion from a weight below coming up to fight the champion in a heavier weight. So you have the 155-pound champion, Islam Makhachev. He has vacated the 155-pound belt, which is the lightweight. He's moving up to welterweight, which is 170 pounds, and he will take on new champ Jack Meldenlania. He's an Australian guy. This is a really interesting fight. Two of the better male fighters in the UFC. And then it's followed by the title fight with Valentina Shevchenko and Wale Zhang. Zhang was the champion at 115 pounds. She vacated, and she's now fighting Valentina for the 125-pound belt. And just like in the main event, these are probably your two best women fighters in the UFC. Outside of Amanda Nunes, if she decides to come back. If she decides to come back, she's still the number one female fighter, but she has retired. She's supposed to be coming back in the future for a big fight, but don't really know for sure yet. So I would say as of right now, these are two of the best women fighters in the UFC. So it's two really good title fights heading the card. I'm really interested in the main event, Islam versus Maldonado. You got two really good fighters. Jack Maldonado has been in the UFC for a little bit now. He's 18-2 overall. He's an interesting guy. He lost his first two fights as a professional fighter and then has won 18 since. He's got 12 wins by knockout, 8 in the first round. He's really good on his feet, really good at keeping the fight on his feet, which makes this so interesting. He is 8-0 in the UFC. He's got 18 straight wins. He's beat some of the top guys. He did beat Bilal Muhammad for the belt. Before that, he knocked out Gilbert Burns, and then he's also beat Kevin Holland on his way to a title shot. Then you have Islam. He has been probably the pound-for-pound number one ranked fighter in the UFC for the last few years. He has been dominant as a 155-pound champion. He's 27-1 overall. He's got 13 wins by submission. He's won 15 fights in a row. He's 14-1 in the UFC. He's finished 8 of his last 9 wins. He's dominated the 155-pound division. He's beat Poirier. He's beat Dan Hooker. He's beat Charles Oliveira. He's beat Sarukian. He beat Volkanovski when Volkanovski came up from 145 to challenge for the belt. He's actually beat him twice. What makes this real interesting is Islam's a dominant ground fighter. He's got really good wrestling and really good submissions. And Maldonado has shown that he can keep fights on his feet, and if he gets taken down, he can get back up. Islam's a different animal when it comes to the ground game. He's a guy who's landed 54% of his takedowns in the UFC, and he's also had 3.2 takedowns per 15 minutes while in the octagon. Wow. So he's a guy who can, if he wants to get you to the ground, he can get you to the ground. So this fight is super interesting. Plus, one thing about Islam, with a lot of guys who are very dominant on the ground, they normally don't have that well of stand-up. And Islam has only lost in the UFC. It was one of his first fights in the UFC, and he did get knocked out. Outside of that, He's actually pretty impressive on his feet. When he fought Charles Oliveira for the belt, he knocked Charles down with a right hook. It was actually a counter hook as well. And in the Poirier fight, he showed really good stand up with a guy who has really good boxing in Dustin Poirier. Islam isn't just a wrestler. He does have a good stand up, and he's not afraid to stand up. He will strike with Maldonado as much as he can, but his main goal is going to try to get this fight to the ground. He's going to look to submit him and try to take his 170-pound title.
Islam is more than a 2-1 favorite in this one. Hanson, do you agree with that?
I do agree with it. Like I said, Islam's been the number one pound for pound fighter. I don't think he's slowing down any. I think he's still at the very top of his game. He's finished 8 of his last 9 wins. I think Islam's rolling, and I just think he's a hard guy to beat right now. I would look for Islam to be the favorite in almost any fight you could put him in right now with guys around his weight class. I think he's that good of a fighter. I think he's shown he's that good of a fighter. He's been that good of a fighter, and I think he has a very good chance to win his second belt in the UFC.
How's it going to go down?
I think he gets him to the ground. I think he submits him. Maldonado has shown the ability to get up. He's shown the ability to be tough while on the ground, but I think it's just a different level. Islam's wrestling is very good. His submissions are very good, and he's just super strong. And he's the guy going up in weight.
Right.
Not gonna have to cut weight anymore. So I look for him to be even stronger at 170 pounds. Maldonado is not that big of a guy, so he's not going to be huge to Islam. I just don't think he's going to be able to give him any problems on the ground. Now, on the feet, he may give Islam trouble on the feet, but if he gets to the ground, I think that's where Islam dominates, and I think that's where he ends the fight.
As you mentioned, Hanson, also a championship Saturday night at Madison Square Garden in UFC 322 in the women's flyweight division. And like the men's main event, this event has a fighter moving up a weight, and that is Zhang Weili. Tell me about this fight.
Like I said, these are 2 of your top women in the UFC. Valentina, she's been one of the best fighters in the UFC since she's gotten to the UFC. Before she came in, they didn't even have a flyweight division. It was just 145 and 135. And she's such a badass. She fought at 135 pounds and beat most of the top girls there. Two of her only 3 losses in the UFC were to Amanda Nunes, and a lot of people think she won the second fight. So she's beat Pena, who was a champion. She's beat Holly Holm, who was a champion at 135. So she's just been dominant as soon as she stepped into the UFC. Once they made the 125 class, she was the champion there. She's dominated that class ever since. She's beat a lot of former champions. She beat Joanna. She beat Andrade. She beat Grasso. Now, Grasso did beat her the first time they fought, but she avenged that fight 2 fights ago. She's beat everybody that's beat her, except for Nunes. Like I said, Nunes may be the best women fighter that's ever fought in the UFC. So that's not no slouch there to lose to her. But Valentina's 25-4 overall. She's very well rounded. She has 8 knockouts, 7 submissions, 5 wins in the first round. She's 14-3 in the UFC, and she did avenge her last loss. Then she's been dominant. And the same goes for Weili. Weili is 26-3. She is also well rounded. She's got 11 knockouts, 8 submissions. She's got 11 finishes in the first round. She's 10-2 in the UFC, and she's on a 5-fight win streak. Weili has fought 3 former champs, and she's beat all 3 of them. She beat all 3 of them by stoppages.
Wow.
In my honest opinion, Weili is my favorite underdog on this card. I really like her in this fight. She's super well rounded. She's going to be able to fight Valentina anywhere this fight goes. And I think she's catching Valentina at the right time. Father Time is undefeated. And I think Valentina, she's had issues in her last few fights. 4 fights ago, she fought a girl named Santos, and a lot of people thought Santos won that fight. She was awarded the win by the judges. But if you watch the fight, you didn't really think she won. And then she did lose her next fight to Grasso when she defended the belt against her. Now, she did end up beating Grasso the second time, where I think they had a draw in between, and then she beat her the third time they fought. And then she just had another title defense coming off her last fight. But I think Weili is catching her at a good time. I think Weili's on a trajectory up. And I think that Valentina might be slowing down a little bit. So Weili's actually my favorite underdog on this card.
Nice.
I think she can win this fight. She's very good on her feet. She's got power in her hands. She's got a lot of stoppages from knockouts. 2 of the champions she beat, she stopped by knockout. So she's very good on her feet. And then she also is very well rounded. She has good takedowns as well. Her takedown defense, I haven't seen really anybody try to take her down because she's been more of the offensive wrestler in her fights. So I don't know if Valentina will get her on the ground. But I think, Grasso was able to get Valentina down. I think Wale could get Valentina down. So it's a very interesting fight. And I really like Wale in this fight. Don't know how it's going to end. I could see it maybe being a decision because both girls are very tough. But I do think Wale surprises everybody. And I think Wale wins her second title on Saturday.
And Wale is the underdog in this one, but you're only getting 6 cents on the dollar. So it's almost 50-50 in Vegas with this one.
And I think those odds are right. I think this is a very close fight. Both these women are well rounded and they're both very good fighters. It's just going to be a very good fight.
A couple other really good fights, welterweight fights Saturday night at Madison Square Garden, UFC 322. Sean Brady and Michael Morales, Leon Edwards against Carlos Prates, and
Yes, Prates.
Brady and Prates are the favorites in that one, but none of these four fights have a clear cut favorite. You can see anybody winning any of these fights on Saturday night, right?
And they're two really exciting fights. When they put this card together, those are two fights that stood out to me. You got Brady, who's been on a roll. He's 18-1 overall. He's a well-rounded fighter as well. He's more of a ground guy. He does have 6 of his wins by submissions. He's got 3 in the first round. He is 8-1 in the UFC, and he's on a 3-fight win streak. He just stopped former champ Leon Edwards in his last fight. He's also beat Gilbert Burns. He beat Kelvin Gastelum. I think he submitted Kelvin Gastelum, and he's beat Michael Chiesa. He's been on a roll. He's ranked number 2 right now. He's been climbing through the division. I think a big win for him probably gets him a title shot. But, Morales is ranked number 8, but he is no easy win. This kid, he's kind of been a fast riser, came in with a lot of hype. He's 18-0, 13 wins by knockout. 9 in the first round. He's 6-0 in the UFC, and he stopped his last 2 opponents who are supposed to be his hardest fights. He knocked out Gilbert Burns, and he knocked out Neil Magny, who's been a solid, long career guy in the UFC, and he burned right through him. This is a very entertaining fight. It's an exciting fight. Morales is coming in with a lot of momentum. A big win for him. He steals all of Brady's momentum. Both of these guys are coming in on a roll right now. And I think impressive performance by either one of them probably gets him a title shot, even with Morales being ranked number 8. He's a kid that said yes to every fight they've offered him. He hasn't turned anything down. He's fought a lot since he's been in the UFC. I know Dana likes that type of stuff. So he is a guy that a win here, I think he could jump a lot of the guys in the welterweight division. So this is a very intriguing fight for both of these guys. I'm really interested to see. I do lean more towards Brady because I really like his wrestling and I like his ground game. He submitted Leon Edwards after just dominating him for 4 rounds, took him down at will, kept him there, beat him up on the ground, pretty much just drained his energy, and then tapped him out for the win with a guillotine choke. So I really like Brady's ground game. Haven't seen Morales on the ground. He's blown through everybody's fought in the UFC. It's a real interesting fight. I can't wait for it. I'm leaning Brady, but I wouldn't be surprised if Morales wins. He's very dangerous on his feet. He throws everything. He's got power in his hands, feet, knees, elbows. He's one of those type of strikers where he can hit you with anything. He reminds me of like a larger LaRon Murphy. In the last fight Murphy had, he came in as a big underdog against a wrestler, Aaron Pico, and I told you to watch out for him because he would, he's one of those guys that makes you pay when you try to go in for a takedown, and he ended up getting a knockout in that fight. And I could kind of see this fight going that way. As of right now, I do lean towards Brady. I think he's the cleaner wrestler. I think his wrestling will get him the victory here, and I think he'll win by decision.
Hanson, same thing with Edwards and Prates. Should be a great fight, and I know it's one you're looking forward to.
This one's probably the fan favorite fight on here. It's 2 really good kickboxers. two guys that should put on a good fight here. Prates has been on a roll. He's a fan favorite. He's just coming off of a really impressive elbow knockout of Jeff Neal in August. He's 5-1 UFC, and then all 5 of his wins are by knockout. So he's one of those type of guys. Edwards is a guy who's not afraid to stand and bang as well. He's got really good kickboxing. He's 22-5 with 7 knockouts, 5 in the first round. So I think this is going to be a barn burner. I think both these guys are going to come in. Prates that's the only way he knows how to fight. And Edwards is on a bit of a slide. He's lost 2 in a row since losing his belt. So he's somebody who's trying to jump back in the mix. So he's probably going to be in there looking for an impressive win as well. And I can really just see this one being a really fun fight that could be a dog fight, or somebody could get stopped early in this fight. I'm leaning towards Prates. I think he will get the job done, and I think he stops Edwards within 1 or 2 rounds.
That'd be a bit of an upset, wouldn't it?
I think a lot of people probably do think Prates does win this fight. Edwards is on a bit of a slide, and Prates is just one of those guys that just comes in and he only knows one way to fight, and he's there to finish fights. And I think that his style will get him this win.
All right, Hanson, let's talk some fighting news and notes. And the big one was Virgil Ortiz got a big win, TKO, last weekend against Erickson Lubin. What do you think's next for him?
Super impressive fight for him. Lubin was a guy who's very tough. Not too many people have been able to hurt Lubin, let alone stop him in the fashion that Virgil Ortiz did. Knocked him out on his feet, left him dead to rights on the ropes. It was a really good performance. Virgil Ortiz is cruising right now. He's 24-0 with 22 knockouts. He's number 2 ranked super welterweight in the world right now. And he's the interim WBC welterweight champion. And I think the only fight to make now is him and Boots Ennis. Boots Ennis is your other welterweight champion right now. And those two have kind of been on a collision course as it is. They've both taken some kind of warm-up fights to get to this point. But I think that's the only fight to make for either one of them. It's a huge fight, and it's a very fun fight and a very interesting fight as well. I think Boots would probably go in as the favorite, but Virgil Ortiz is very good. You cannot doubt this kid at all. He's very good. He's quick. He's got good counterpunch, and he's shown his last fight he is super strong. So that's a very interesting fight, and I'm very looking forward to that one.
In Great Britain, middleweight fight between Conor Benn and Chris Eubank this weekend, a big rivalry. Also, supposedly, we're going to get an Anthony Joshua Jake Paul fight.
Yeah, that's in the rumor mill right now. Since Tank fell out, they've been looking for a replacement, and it sounds like it's going to be Joshua, but then I'm hearing that it might not. I heard Joshua's waiting to fight the first year next year. He kind of wants to get back in the heavyweight mix. I know they're throwing Wilder out there. They said if he can get past Wilder, they're looking at maybe Joshua and Fury fighting sometime next year. So I really don't know. It's a very risky fight for Joshua. Even if he goes in and wins, it's something he's supposed to do. If he doesn't go in and look completely flawless, people will think negative about it. It's just a super risky fight for him. For Jake Paul, it's also super risky because he can go in there and get really hurt. I don't think he's on the skill levels of Anthony Joshua. I don't think he can take those type of punches from a power puncher at heavyweight like Joshua. So it's a super risk for him, but I understand why he would do it. He's searching for the name, for the big fight, the big paydays. That's kind of all he's been looking for, just to stay relevant. I honestly don't know if we get that fight. It's just too risky on both sides, and I think Joshua's still looking forward to bigger heavyweight fights. But you never know. Money talks. Netflix is involved, so there'll be a big payday for both of them. So we just have to wait and see. But it's I don't know if it's anything that will happen.
And our final segment each week, Hanson, we look ahead to the biggest fights coming up, and we don't have to look ahead too far. Next week in Riyadh, Saudi Arabia, the Night of Champions, David Benavidez against Anthony Yarde for the light heavyweight championship. Also, Devin Haney and Brian Norman for the WBO welterweight title.
Then you also got Jesse Rodriguez and Daniel Martinez too, for the super flyweight title. So it's a huge night, huge fights on there. I'm really excited for that. David Benavidez is one of my favorite fighters. He's a guy who's just really impressive every time he goes out there. He's a guy that's had a hard time getting fights. A lot of the top guys don't want to fight David Benavidez, and I don't blame him. He's a guy that goes in and he puts it on you. He's got an incredible pace for a bigger guy, and he's got punching power. He's kind of long and lanky, but he does have punching power. Wilder, I wouldn't say to that extent, and he's way more skillful than Wilder was, but he does have sneaky power. So he's very fun to watch. I'm excited about this fight. The Brian Norman Jr. Devin Haney fight is also very intriguing. Haney had very big trouble with Ryan Garcia's left hand when he fought him, and Brian Norman Jr.'s got a left hand that can put anybody out. So that fight's very interesting as well. And then the Jesse Rodriguez versus Daniel Martinez, you got the world champion facing the number 4 ranked guy in the flyweight division. So it's just a fun card. A good night of boxing, and that's something I'm really looking forward to. Been looking forward to that one for a while. Ever since they announced this card, I know one fight fell off. Beterbiev was supposed to be on here as well, but he fell off. But they did bring Abdullah Mason back. He's probably going to start the card against Sam Noakes. That should be an easy win for Mason, so he could put on another great performance. So it's going to be a fun night, a big card with some big fights on it, and I'm really looking forward to that one.
Hanson Crafton, thank you so much for your time, as always. And we will talk some fighting again next week. Appreciate it.
Central Indiana Sports Report is brought to you by DG Media, and I love Susie.